Tucker Carlson spoke in Budapest, Hungary, for what would turn out to be a very, as you might have been able to predict, deranged speech. I have a clip here for you where he's trying to make the claim that the reason the United States is against Russia, and contextualize this in a moment where Russia's invading Ukraine, is because Russia is a Christian nation. And the reason why the United States hates Hungary is because Hungary is a Christian nation. Obviously, that's not the reality. That's not why the United States is currently condemning actions that Viktor Orban in Hungary has been taking that are in the direction of authoritarianism and trying to clinch more power for himself, and these different anti-democratic steps he's taken. And then obviously the condemnation and assistance in the fight against Russia comes from the place of not thinking that you should invade other countries and try to take over their sovereign territory. So Tucker wants to make it about something else because he has a very whacked and dishonest and dangerous ideology. We'll get more into that after taking a look at this, again, at a speech in Budapest, Hungary.
They hate Hungary. And they hate it not because of what it's done, but because of what it is. It's a Christian country, and they hate that. And that's the truth. And nobody wants to say it, but it's true. And it's not a particularly provocative Christian country. I don't think most Hungarians go to church. It's not a theocracy. You're not required to believe in the catechism to live here. It's nothing like that. It's a soft Christian country, the softest ever. 300 years ago, people would look at modern Hungary and say, that's not a Christian country. But by modern standards, it's one of the last countries that identifies as a nation built on Christian precepts. Again, not imposing them on anyone else. But that is enough to incite our policymakers in the United States. And that is exactly why they hate Russia, by the way. I'm not a fan of Russia. And if I was, I wouldn't admit it to a Hungarian audience. When I hear Orban described as a Putin suck-up, I think, really? That image of Orban being pushed against a police car with a baton to his neck by Soviet-backed policemen comes to mind. Yeah, he's probably not pro-Russian, just guessing. But why do they make that charge? Well, because one thing that Russia and Hungary have in common is a big part of the population identify as Christians. Now, why would that be provocative? A huge part of Malaysians identify as Muslim. Fine with me. But it's not fine with Washington at all. It's deeply offensive to see that alive in Europe. And that is the core. It's not rational. This is happening on a gut level, but it is expressed through policy. Policies that I'm ashamed of that most Americans don't even.
I feel as if most people could listen to that and know instantly why it's absurd. One of the reasons being he's saying that apparently Hungary is hated by the United States or Washington because a large percentage of Hungarians identify as Christian. Well, of course, a very large percentage of Americans identify as Christian, so that doesn't make much sense, including a lot of people in Washington, D.C. And then it's him trying to, this is the most important part. For him, he wants to go in the direction because of his own Christian nationalist views and admiration for what Viktor Orban and Putin are doing from the standpoint of authoritarian motivations and ambitions, not because of their Christian faith. But he wants to distract from the reality of what they're doing, distract from when it comes to Putin, why he's brought the same talking point up often in regard to Putin, is to distract from the pretty clear-cut, horrifying decisions that Putin has been making in this moment in relation to invading another country, causing mass devastation, all because of his distorted ambition to restore the strength and power of the former Soviet Union, or to have some legacy of expanding the glory of Russia, or whatever his exact motivation is. That has motivated him to do something that is inexcusable. And so to attempt to excuse that, Tucker then says, well, the real reason that they are mad at Russia right now is not because of that invasion thing. It's because they hate Christians or something. It's ridiculous. And he said this, as I mentioned, in the past, back when he was on Fox News, and called it a jihad against Russia. This is while Russia was invading another country.
What could possibly be the justification for doing that? We've wondered. Anyone who's paying attention has had to have wondered that. Well, this week, Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland, of Bethesda, answered that question. Russia is an Orthodox Christian country with traditional social values, and for that reason, it must be destroyed, no matter what the cost to us. So this is not a conventional war, this is a jihad. Jamie Raskin said that out loud, but many in Washington agree with him, in both parties. They would like to see World War trans immediately.
People listen to that and think it's thoughtful analysis. Of course, do I even have to note, do I have to fact check that Jamie Raskin did not say that? Did not say there should be a jihad against Russia because it's founded on or advocates for Christian values? No. Obviously, the opposition in this moment to Russia is based on their aggressing upon another country for absolutely no reason that is justified. That is why. And I have struggled, as y'all have seen over the entirety of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, to comprehend and then be able to articulate to you all why there is this within MAGA, within a certain part of the right wing, and some in the left wing, but more prominently in the right wing, sympathy for and advocacy for Russia as they invade another country. And we've gone through the specific talking points in the past that will be made and we debunked them, but why are they making those talking points? Why are they putting those forward? Why is he trying to label this as a fight against Christianity? Even though, as I already said, for so many reasons that doesn't make any sense. Instead of just a fight against an authoritarian government trying to take over another country's sovereign territory. And I don't know exactly, but I think a part of it is knee-jerk opposition to Biden. And because Biden is in a very strong way being supportive of Ukraine, a way to further depict him as the evil man who does all evil things, he can't be given credit for doing the correct thing with Ukraine. So then you have to be against him on that. But that doesn't answer for all of it. It goes beyond that to sort of what we've seen with Trump, which is an admiration for and awe of authoritarian leaders and thus authoritarian governments. And so seeing the reforms that Viktor Orban in Hungary has been pushing for, and definitely as Putin has been governing, that is appealing to someone like Tucker Carlson or Trump, or Carrie Lake also went and was being super friendly with Viktor Orban and having that similar advocacy for his policies. And so I think that comes from a realization that the majority in America is moving beyond their ideology, is rejecting their ideology. We are becoming a more progressive society. When he says it's going to be World War trans, or their Christian values offend the, whatever the narrative he was pushing there, the kind of something to the effect of the Christian values are in opposition to more progressive values, which of course, as Tucker Carlson would define it, but there are lots of progressive Christians for sure. And so then it's, while the majority is rejecting our Christian nationalist, very traditional, very intolerant and lacking of liberty being a priority, and all these different stances we have, and our stance on abortion, our stance on healthcare, our stance on guns, our stance on and on and on. And so now power is becoming more important than democracy. And so they're seeing, if we're now not popular enough to win elections democratically, what models could we use and advocate for to keep our ideology implemented when it comes to positions of power? And that's where you get this authoritarian liking. You get the admiration for authoritarian leaders because they see them being able to do it. Look, they're doing things that we wish we could do. We wish Trump could have more power like Putin or Xi Jinping or Viktor Orban. And that is what is so intriguing. Possibly that's an explanation. I'm not really sure. And lastly, I'll say this.
Because people are dying on the front lines. You think it's a joke?
Why do I care? Why do I care what's going on in the conflict between Ukraine and Russia? And I'm serious. Like, why do I care?
I'll tell you why.
And why shouldn't I root for Russia, which I am?
Because those of us who are watching...
Ooh, almost treasonous.
So blatant advocacy for someone who is invading another country. And we've talked about here from The Guardian, Kremlin memos urge Russian media to use Tucker Carlson clips. So when he gets accused of being pro-Russian, pro the aggressor, the invader, we just covered why. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are able to be uploaded to the YouTube channel, plus get the bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.